cord. Yeah, so I am talking to Melissa Mackey right now, who under that little bib has a almost 90-day-old human being. And that 90-day-old human being, catch it, 3 months old, has been on stage with Melissa 3 times in the first 90 days of her life. Patience Grace is her name. Did I catch it right?
Yes, that's right. Patience Grace.
Stunning. And Melissa's business partner, Melissa, just had a baby 4 months before that, and they are they're as single moms, living their entrepreneurial life fully and completely without missing a beat, yet honoring motherhood, honoring this new being in the world, and doing their gig on stage, like nursing, teaching, training, like you name it, keep going. I just wanted to introduce. Oh my God.
Yeah. And it was last week, I was in Vancouver for our last event. I extended my stay there for about 2 weeks because I'm working with another business partner. We're organizing a huge conference in Bali this November for women called the Awakened Woman Conference. And she's a mom as well. She just gave birth back in August. So she has a 8-month-old child. And here we are sitting at the table, typing on the emails, sending out phone calls, doing the business. Our boobs are hanging out. And her partner comes into the room and he's like, oh my God, this is just like picture perfect. Like we're sitting there in front of our computers, babies are on the boobs. Like it's just, and I'm like, wow, like this is life. Like this is, there's nothing stopping us from living our life and still running our business,
Amazing.
And
totally amazing.
This has shown me what is possible. And when you're really fired up about something or a cause or what you're working on, it's like nothing really gets in the way.
Well, a few things, I'm almost gobsmacked and speechless for one. So fantastic, like you're introducing a whole new paradigm. So yes. One vibe I'm getting, there's 2 or 3. One is one of our Success Mastery pals, Levi, is from Zambia and his partner's from Tanzania, and they have a little one. Mm-hmm. But regardless, we often talk about kind of, life back home, or life with our native cultures, or life in kind of, cut from the fine cloth earlier days in Europe, that sense of when family was all inclusive. Mm-hmm. And then we went through this weird blip on the screen that kids and family life and messy things have to be separate from our business life.
Yeah.
And then we went through this other phase of you have to get rid, you have to, have your career first and then your family life. Mm-hmm. And now you and Melissa and other fabulous women and men, I'm sure, are ushering in this whole nother reality of you could have family be integrated, i.e. little babies integrated while you're promoting an event, while you're leading an event, while you're on stage. It's ushering in a whole new era of permission mm-hmm. and rule changing. Yeah. Because I'm sure you can still professionally promote and professionally deliver a service when you're on stage.
Hands down.
And yet you are changing the rules of what's okay and what's possible. And in fact, inviting being real and authentic and family life back into the business world or our world, period. So hats off to you for being part of the stewardesses ushering this into the new paradigm.
Yeah. And you said it exactly. When we were in Vancouver, are you familiar with meetup.com?
Sure.
Okay. So there's one of the largest Vancouver business networking communities that exist in Vancouver. And they had a networking function on a Saturday morning. And Melissa and I got up early, we got the babies ready, and we headed off to this networking function. And instantly people think that you're not allowed to bring babies. Like it's just, you don't do that. And at this point, we're in the mindset of how can we integrate these babies into our life? I mean, it's part of our job to network in order to grow your business. I mean, your network is equal to your net worth.
Correct.
So we show up, we had our strollers and it was winding staircase. And I was like, oh my God, we got to find a way. There's an elevator. The elevator is closed. So we found a maintenance man. We got him to open the elevator, get us into the door. And another lady was coming up and she's like, oh, are you two girls heading to the networking group? And we said, yes, we sure are. And she looks down at our babies and she looks back up at us and she said, the babies are going too? And we said, well, yes, like it's not even an option. I mean, they're here.
Yeah.
And so on the way up in the elevator, this lady, I mean, she was probably in her 60s. She said, oh, geez, like, how old are these babies? Mine is obviously younger and breastfeeding, and Melissa is still breastfeeding as well. And she said, you know, it was in my day and age, it was absolutely a big no-no. You could not breastfeed in public. And
taboo.
And it is, and it's still taboo. Of course, it's such a controversial topic still to this day. I mean, you see stuff plastered all over the internet. And so we go up and we get welcomed right in. Nobody says anything about the babies, not even one person. And we sit at the back of the room, and of course, the baby starts fussing, so we start feeding it. And I mean, it's like we are showing people what's possible. Stop limiting yourself. And so many women, they just stay home with these babies. They don't venture out. They don't continue to live their life. And then what happens? They lose themselves. So many women have lost who they are because they still, when they have the babies, they stop focusing on what brings them joy, what makes them happy, and living their life. And so
losing themselves.
Completely. And it's like, we really, I feel, are trailblazers.
I completely concur. I'm going to send you your first official badge or something, trailblazers. So you and I both know this was totally spontaneous. I had no plan on recording this, but you just kind of took my breath away at who you are and what you're doing. So I'd love to just ask you before I sort of click stop on record, for whoever is watching this, what would be your top 1, 2, 3 tips when you're either networking and or on stage, you know, when you're doing your business out in the world? What would be your top few tips to women like yourselves to integrate this in a seamless way that honors you, honors the child, and honors the business that's occurring at the same time?
Well, I think the biggest thing is asking yourself really important, empowering questions, like beginning with the word how and what. What is it that I'm looking for? And how can I get this done? Because instantly inside our head, especially when it comes to networking, I know many people go to these networking events, but they don't even speak to anybody. And they have this fear, and it's that thing that goes on inside the brain, you know, talking you down. It's a small voice saying, who are you to do this? And when it comes to networking or being on stage, it's just engaging. It's getting outside of your own agenda inside your head and asking these important questions. And when you're in a networking event,
So I'm going to pause you for a second. And maybe it was the way I asked it wasn't the general tips for networking. It was specifically like, what are the do's and don'ts when you're networking or doing on stage with your baby? Like, that to me is a niche skill, you know? And I'm guesstimating, for example, don't have the conversation go on too long about the child, because people are going to start obviously by asking you about your child. Mm-hmm. And yet you are here for business. So how do you manage that kid versus business conversation, or elegantly transition back into business? Like those kind of tips. Like, what does it look like to manage a baby and networking or being on stage simultaneously?
You know, I totally got that question wrong. The biggest thing is it's like the baby doesn't even exist. I mean, I just let her be. Let her be calm, just do her own thing. And I'm here present with you. I'm fully present. I'm not in what is it like, what do I need to seek for myself? I mean, it's having courage. It's just simply having courage. What is courage? It's having the fear and doing it anyways.
Love it. So for me, and I'm being the devil's advocate listener, you got the first half of a great answer. I want to just help you get at that second half, which is on the business side. I would completely concur with you. Just be like you're being with me, totally present. We're connecting, we're networking, quote unquote, right now, and we're doing business.
Yeah.
And there might be a little voice in some listener's head that's watching this saying, act as if the baby doesn't exist. Let me see if I want a sounding board, see if I know what you mean. So what I'm hearing is act, quote unquote, normal, like you're networking or being on stage training, as you're normally being in business, energetically committed to the person you're interacting with. And yet some part of you isn't energetically ignoring your baby. So what is that inner maternal part of you doing while you're completely focused on the person you're networking with or being on stage? There must be some other part that is in somehow silently, energetically honoring your child. What does that look like or sound like? Do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah, like it's, I experienced this just in my house the other day. And what I experienced was, oh my God, I got all these emails. I got to make these phone calls. And when I make a phone call, that is a business call, I don't want a baby crying in the background. Inside my own being, I was so frazzled. I was scattered. My energy was all over the place. And I actually broke down. I started crying because I was like, I have all this stuff to do and it's already 4:00. It's 6:00 out east. Like this stuff isn't getting done. And what I realized after a conversation I had with a business colleague that night, she said, Melissa, listen to what you're saying. Your energy is frazzled and scattered and it's all over the place. And guess what? The baby felt that. The baby felt that energetically. Yesterday was a beautiful day. She woke up. I fed her. I played with her and I put her back to bed. I made so many calls yesterday uninterrupted, not paying attention to focusing on my baby crying and not going to sleep. It was, you said it, it's this energetic vibration that the baby picks up on. So if I'm on stage thinking about, oh my God, I got to close this sale and I got to get that person in, in my program, I'm not there. I'm focusing on a separate agenda, which is then causing the energy that's that frazzled, scattered energy. And perhaps my baby is going to feel that energy. And because I'm focused on getting this sale, I'm actually not present to listening to you. What is it that you really want? It falls back to give people what they want and deliver what they need.
Yeah, I'm going to pause you because you got a lot of value bits here, nuggets here. So, and I want to divide and conquer, so to speak, or divide and honor, not divide and conquer, but divide and honor. Because one thing that you said is for parents or not, for people with or without babies and children in tow. And that is focus on what you want versus what you don't want. How many people are paranoid about the sale, freaking out about their prospects, whether they're judging them or not, versus being a stand for their prospects and saying, here's what I'm raising you up to. Here's your highest potential. If you want to join me, awesome. I'm going to be a stand for you. And if you're not, I'm unattached. I'm good. It's all okay. So that first nugget is brilliant for anyone of what are you focusing on? And whichever you're focusing on, panic on prospects or being a stand for a sale and your clients, you're going to get that. So that's clear and absolutely valuable. And something that's just, again, extraordinary, that's giving me shivers, is that, let me just say, and not necessarily go down on record, but some people have said that the latest sort of wave of generation has been so overly focused on our kids. There's been this pendulum swing of, oh dear, you're so smart, you're so clever, you're so beautiful, you're everything, you're the world to me. And they get overly trained that they are the epicenter of the universe. Versus, the other generation before that, we might have complained it was the other side of the pendulum swing, that we were ignored by the generation before. So you've got ignored over here, then overdoted over here. Yeah. Now, I might say that you are actually off this continuum entirely and right up here, which is you are modeling presence, period. Whether presence to Patience Grace, your daughter, or whether presence to a client, no matter what, she's one, experiencing presence, and two, experiencing presence when it's not primarily directed to her. That she's not necessarily the epicenter of the universe, yet can still be around humans that are being present. And that is a subtle, as my meditation coach would say, subtle but significant teaching to be in the presence of presence without having to be the primary focus of that attention.
Totally.
Did you track that?
Yes.
Because I'm tracking you, and that is stunning. And we could like go on for a couple of hours, but I'm going to, if I can, at least to keep this tighter, and again, it's spontaneous. One other key question, I'm sure we could create more tips, but the presence one is stunning. And so that was one kind of tip of how to be in public with a baby or a child and still be brilliant, which is be present as you always are in business and allow that to just be a part of the environment.
Yeah.
The second question is one, and I'm sure there's 100, one benefit this new paradigm has brought to your business. One benefit in the last 90 days of you being real and authentic with your baby while you're doing business. I'm sure there's a dozen, but one win that you've experienced.
You know, it's having women come up to me at an event and just sharing how beautiful it is to see somebody that's younger living a life that you're living. Because it's what this baby has experienced so far in her short life, some people don't even experience in 10 years or maybe even in a lifetime. Yeah. And it's the biggest thing that the biggest benefit is allowing myself to be who I am and allowing her to be who she is. Because, you know, just like what you said earlier, this old generational thinking has been keep your mouth shut. Asking for help is a sign of weakness. We definitely do not want to talk about how we really feel. And that is not how I want to raise my daughter. And it's getting in front of all these people. You're learning how to deal and interact with all these different human beings that are unknown to you. And even for ourselves, it's so important because this idea of how things should be, it's not. It doesn't even exist except for up here, what we choose to believe. So it's just creating that possibility for anybody to be who they are with no judgment.
Unbelievable. And I also think of quote unquote the alternative, the quote unquote nightmare that so many young moms are living. Okay, especially single moms, especially entrepreneurial moms. Yeah. You know, you got a corporate job, you get maternity leave, you get cash, you're relaxing. It's like, you know, it's okay. It works, you know. I don't want to say vacation because it's a big job raising a kid, but I'm saying you're getting paid to raise your kid.
Yep.
Entrepreneur, single mom, it's like you don't work, you don't get paid. And you think of the anxiety of single moms, all entrepreneurial single moms, little moms all over the world, trying to still run their business with a kid in the closet, so to speak, as opposed to the kid being a part of your life and your new entrepreneurial persona. Mm-hmm. Like the alternative is a quiet nightmare that so many mostly female entrepreneurs are living right now. So you are a stand, not just for presence, but for a new paradigm of bringing the family back into our lives. Mm-hmm. Still being brilliant to business and saving entrepreneurial single mom women, let alone women, you know, period, moms, and giving them permission to still be the entrepreneur they are while being the mom that you're becoming. Like, just paradigm changing for all of us. And, you know, I'll just share one more thing, which is I have had for decades a big passion about the planet. And I've often said, you know, if we quote unquote fell in love with it again or stood in love with it again, we take care of whatever we love. Like you love Patience Grace, and so you take care of her. Mm-hmm. And as we fall in love again with the critters and the green spaces and the creek behind my house, we take care of the things we love. And so in you bringing the human family into the workplace, that into the business world, that's a visual stand for falling in love again with family. And as people like myself bring in the planetary side of all life into the business world, then we can fall in love and be a stand for that as well. So it doesn't have to be in these separate cubicles and closets like we've been running before, and people don't have to leave, as one of my mentors would say, lives of quiet desperation, you know, trying to hide their kids or, you know, their confessions that they love, you know, nature, you know? So
it reminds me.
What's that?
It reminds me of a man whose work I love, Joseph Campbell. And, you know, he says we are not searching for the meaning of life. We are searching for that adventure and what makes us come alive.
Oh man, here's to being alive with you. I know we're going to keep going after I click stop on this recording. I hate to click stop because I know it's still going to be good after, but I wanted to make it a bite-sized visual for folks, whoever is benefiting from this in our tribes. And so thank you for your spontaneity. I'm going to click off now. Thank you now. And I know we're going to privately keep going right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa.